Welcome to the Deep Dive. You give us the sources, the articles, the research, sometimes even the blueprints.
And we give you back the core essentials, the stuff you really need to know.
Exactly. With some surprising facts, maybe, and just enough context so you sound like the smartest person in the room.
Or at least the most interesting at the pub.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
So today, we're plugging in, we're doing a deep dive into a very specific, very iconic piece of guitar gear.
Oh, yeah.
The MXR RR104C Randy Rhoads Distortion Plus.
The legendary pedal.
And our mission here isn't just like a quick gear review. We want to understand how this one specific piece of kit, well, how it defined a sound.
Right.
And why this custom shop recreation is, historically important.
And it really is. For anyone into guitar gear, this thing is, well, it's pretty special. It was a limited run MXR custom shop back around 2019.
Sold out instantly, I bet.
Oh, immediately. Gone. And it's easily one of MXR's most collectible pedals. Certainly one with the deepest historical roots.
And the hook, the thing that makes this worth digging into for you listening,
is that it's meant to be a faithful recreation. Not just sounds like, but like an exact clone.
Of the pedal.
Of the specific Distortion Plus unit that Randy Rhoads himself used on those legendary Ozzy albums, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. It's basically an electrical clone of a museum piece.
Okay, wow. So let's set the stage first, the history. Because without Randy Rhoads, this pedal is just another Distortion Plus pillar, right?
Absolutely.
Rhoads, 1956 to 82. Such a short career, but, his impact was monumental. He's the guy who really brought classical chops, that precision, that melodic sense into heavy metal guitar.
He totally elevated it, made it sophisticated almost overnight.
And his rig, his famous setup, it always seemed pretty simple on paper, didn't it? For the huge sound he got.
Deceptively simple.
You picture the Les Paul Custom or that iconic white Concord V, plugged into a Marshall stack, cranked up loud.
The classic formula.
But that secret ingredient, the thing giving him that singing, almost endless lead sustain, that was the MXR Distortion Plus it.
That was the key. It was pushing the front end of those Marshalls just right, into that perfect saturation point.
Okay, so this leads us to the nugget, as you call it, the replication, how they actually made this RR104C.
Right, because this is where it gets really interesting. Most signature pedals are, maybe based on an artist's favorite version or a general vintage schematic.
Kind of an approximation.
Exactly. This was different. This wasn't a tribute. It was almost like electrical archaeology.
So how did they do it? They didn't just guess what his pedal sounded like.
No guessing involved. MXR actually got access to Randy's original Distortion Plus pedal.
The actual one.
The actual one. It's kept safe by the Rhoads family at the Musonia School of Music.
Wow.
And the engineers, they took this pedal, carefully opened it up, and basically traced the entire circuit, component by component.
You mean they measured everything?
Everything. Every resistor, every capacitor, the diodes. They mapped its entire electrical fingerprint.
Why? Isn't the Distortion Plus schematic pretty well known?
Good question. Yes, the basic schematic is out there. But back in the 70s, component manufacturing wasn't as precise as it is today. Tolerances were looser.
Meaning two pedals could sound slightly different, even off the same line.
Precisely. So Randy's specific unit would have had its own unique component values due to that variance, plus maybe some drift over time. Tiny differences, but they all add up to his specific sound.
So they weren't just cloning a Distortion Plus E, they were cloning Randy's Distortion Plus A.
That's exactly it. They measured the actual values in his pedal and source components that matched those values. That's the level of detail we're talking about.
Okay, that definitely makes it feel less like marketing and more like, preserving history.
It really does.
And the look of it, too, the white finish, the gold stripes.
Yeah, designed to match his famous white Concord V guitar, the one Carl Sandoval built for him. It looks the part.
A nice touch.
And they leaned into the collector aspect, too. Each one came with a certificate of authenticity, fancy packaging, really cementing its status as a collectible.
All right, so history covered, replication mission understood. Let's get under the hood. What's the actual circuit doing? What creates that sound?
Okay, technically it's pretty simple at its core. It's an op-amp-based clipping circuit.
Op-amp. That's the integrated circuit, the chip.
Right, that's the engine, basically. It amplifies the guitar signal. Then that amplified signal hits the clipping components. That's where the distortion happens.
And the key part there, the secret sauce for this vintage sound.
It's the diodes, specifically germanium diodes. just like the original 70s Distortion Plus pedals used.
Not silicon diodes, like most modern distortion pedals.
Exactly. Silicon diodes clip the signal harder, sharper. You get that tighter, sometimes buzzier, more aggressive modern distortion sound.
Okay, so what does germanium do differently?
Germanium clips differently. It starts clipping earlier, and it does it much more softly, more rounded.
So less of a harsh edge.
Right. You get this smoother compression, this roundness. That's why Randy's leads could sing and sustain like that without getting overly harsh or fizzy. It's that soft clipping action. That's the vintage warmth.
That makes sense. The vintage mojo indeed. And speaking of simple, the controls. 2 knobs. That's it.
Just 2. Output, which is your overall level or volume boost. And distortion, which sets how much gain or saturation you want.
Nothing else. No tone knob, no switches.
Yep. Pure simplicity, which is kind of a design choice in itself, right? It forces you to rely on your amp for the EQ shaping.
Right, we'll come back to that. But they did make some concessions for modern players, didn't they? In terms of practicality.
Oh yeah, definitely. While the circuit is pure vintage, the housing and power are modernized. It takes a standard 9-volt battery, or more usefully, a standard 9-volt DC power adapter. Center negative like most pedals today.
Convenient.
Very. And it barely sips power, only draws about 11 milliamps. Great for pedal boards. Plus, it has true hardwire bypass.
Meaning when it's off, it's really off. Your tone isn't colored.
Exactly. Your signal passes straight through, completely unaffected, all wrapped up in that sturdy metal box with the cool white and gold look.
Okay, let's talk sound then. We know it's germanium. We know it's simple.
Yeah.
If you, the listener, plug this thing in, what's the experience? What's the voice?
You're immediately going to hear that thick singing sustain. That's the hallmark. But crucially, it has this really biting presence in the high mids.
So it cuts through.
It absolutely cuts through a mix. That high mid focus is pure Randy Rhoads lead tone. It just sits perfectly on top of a cooking Marshall.
But it's not just a one-trick pony, is it? I mean, for 2 knobs, it seems to cover a bit of ground. People hear Distortion Plus and maybe think pure metal.
Well, it can definitely do the classic metal lead thing, but yeah, it's more versatile than you might think, thanks to those germanium diodes and how they react.
How so?
At lower distortion settings, say below noon, it acts more like a really warm, gritty overdrive. Great for crunchy 70s rock rhythms. Think like early Black Sabbath or maybe Thin Lizzy type crunch. But then you crank that distortion knob up past 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and it blooms into that full-on classic lead voice. Really rich harmonics start popping out.
And it responds well to how you play.
Incredibly well. That softer clipping means it's really sensitive to your picking attack. Dig in harder, it gets hairier. Play softer, it cleans up.
And it cleans up with the guitar's volume knob, too.
Exceptionally well. Roll your guitar volume back, and it can go from singing lead to a nice gritty rhythm or even almost clean without touching the pedal. That's a sign of a great vintage-style circuit.
Okay, now, the elephant in the room, or maybe the knob not in the room. We have to emphasize this. No tone knob.
0 EQ on the pedal itself. And that's maybe the most important thing to understand about using it.
It forces your hand, right?
Completely. It's designed to be a booster and a gain stage that feeds your amp. The amp's EQ is where you shape the final tone.
Which explains why it's so closely associated with certain amps.
Exactly. It pairs perfectly with those classic British amps, the EL34 powered ones, like a Marshall Super Lead or a JMP. The pedal gives you the saturation, the sustain, the texture.
And the Marshall provides the core voice, the low end, the overall EQ shape.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You're working with the amp's natural character, not trying to reshape it drastically with the pedal.
That's a key distinction. It's not a preamp, it's a gain booster that respects the amp.
Okay, let's give people some starting points. Those example settings from the sources seemed useful.
Yeah, good idea. So for that classic, crunchy Randy Rhythm sound, like Crazy Train intro maybe?
Right.
You'd set the output knob around 12 o'clock, just unity gain or a slight boost.
Yeah.
And the distortion knob maybe around 1 o'clock. Gives you that nice crunch, but still clear attack.
Okay, but then for the solos, that soaring Blizzard-era lead sound.
Yeah, then you push it, output up a bit, maybe 1 o'clock for more volume hitting the amp, and crank that distortion knob up to around 3 o'clock.
That's where the magic happens. That's where you get that creamy sustain, the compression kicks in, those harmonics really start to swirl, just flutes over everything.
And you mentioned it could even work as a boost.
Yeah, maybe not how Randy used it primarily, but it works well.
Yeah.
If you want to just slam the front end of your amp harder without adding much pedal distortion.
Like pushing an already overdriven amp.
Exactly. Set the output high, like 2 o'clock or more, but keep the distortion knob really low, maybe 9 o'clock. It adds volume, thickens the sound, adds some harmonic complexity, but without getting too fizzy from the pedal itself.
Interesting. So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. If someone's thinking about tracking one of these down on the used market, what's the takeaway? It seems like it has two lives.
It really does. On one hand, it's absolutely a collector's item, limited run, historical accuracy, the whole package, a piece of rock history you can plug in.
But on the other hand,
It's a genuinely great sounding, very effective pedal for a player. If you want that specific late 70s MXR mojo, that simple, powerful, organic distortion, it delivers.
so the pros are pretty clear then.
Yeah, I mean, number one is authenticity. It is that sound. Specifically matched to Randy's pedal, you get the cool looks, the super simple operation which forces you to focus, plus modern stuff like true bypass and easy power.
But there are always buts. What are the things you absolutely need to consider? The warnings, maybe.
The biggest one, we've hit on it already, no tone control. You must like the basic sound of your amp, and you must be willing to dial in the EQ on your amp. This pedal won't fix a bad-sounding amp.
It might even make it worse if it's not a good match.
Could do, yeah.
Yeah.
If your amp is naturally very bright or harsh, this pedal might just push those frequencies harder.
But then there's the practical side. Finding one.
Yeah, being limited edition means they aren't cheap and they don't pop up for sale every day. It takes patience and probably a decent budget. Great for collectors, maybe frustrating for players just wanting the sound.
Good point.
And the final thing to remember is what it is. It's a vintage-style overdrive, pushing into distortion territory. It is not a modern, super tight, high-gain metal pedal for gent or scooped mid sounds.
It's got that looser, warmer singing quality.
Exactly. If you want modern tight crunch, look elsewhere. This is about classic rock and metal sustain.
It's amazing, really. This pedal is such a testament to, well, how knowing your history, getting the details right, and sticking to a really simple design can create something truly iconic.
That simplicity is key. Just an op amp, 2 knobs, those specific germanium diodes. That's what powered so much musical innovation.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Randy Rhoads got one of the most recognizable, complex, and just huge lead tones ever, using a pedal with 2 knobs and 0 EQ.
So does the best path to a truly iconic sound maybe involve fewer options, fewer controls?
Think about it. Was the lack of a tone knob actually part of the magic? Did it force him, and does it force players using it now, to really focus on the fundamentals?
Like your playing dynamics, how you use the guitar's volume control, and just getting the best possible sound out of your amp first.
Maybe all that complexity we see on modern gear. Maybe sometimes it just gets in the way. Maybe sometimes less really is more tone.
Something to think about next time you're tweaking that 6-band graphic EQ on your pedal board.